I'm in my 2023 Toyota GR Supra. The successor to my 2018 STI has come in at last. Today we're going to do a two-part video, sort of an introduction, my initial impressions of it. Now there's plenty of reviews out there about the new Supra, and yes, this is the manual Supra. There's also plenty of initial impressions about it, and this being kind of my experience, my preferences, I am going to dig into a lot of the comparisons between this car and the cars I've owned in the past. And to do that, this video is really going to focus on sort of a history lesson and my kind of vehicle journey of getting to the Supra. So let's dig into it. To really compare this car to my previous WRS STI, the 2018 STI, I want to also look at some of my previous car choices. I've driven two STIs over the last decade or so, and I remember when the WRX STI first hit the States in the mid-2000s. I was very smitten just by its looks, but also its reputation. It was competing with other cars above its pay grade, and I just thought that was awesome. I loved the big hood scoop, the big wing, the big bold World Rally Blue. It was at the top of my list of cars I wanted to get when I got out of college, and eventually did get them. I got the 2013 STI as my first one, and then the 2018 STI as my second one. Now that doesn't mean the 2013 STI didn't have competition, and this is really because of what Subaru did in 2008 with releasing the next gen after the Hawkeye, which honestly in my opinion is the best looking one. It's still my favorite. But the 2008 STI, the hatchback, as much as people love the hatchback, and I think the hatchback's nice, nothing against the hatchback, but comparing it to the previous gens, it just lacked a little bit of aggressiveness. It was toned down visually. It was definitely softer in handling, something I experienced in the 2013 STI, and did a lot of modifications to the suspension to counter that. Bushings, sway bars, mounts, to really lock down the handling and feel of the suspension for that car, which it desperately needed. But I still loved the level of, I'd say, rawness it kind of brought, especially visually when they brought back the sedan. But looking at when the 2008 STI came out, I was definitely less than excited. I'm sure many people were. That's why they brought the sedan back. But the 370Z in 2009 definitely became the main competitor when I was deciding, all right, what fun sports car did I want to get? I've driven a couple of 370Zs. I love the way they have a tight handling. It's a great feeling car, very responsive engine, steering nice and weighted. It was definitely the top of the list until the sedan came back. And then when I got the 2013 STI, or was shopping for it, I definitely was kind of looking at the trade-offs. But at the time, a well-rounded daily driver was what I was looking for. And honestly, I did always want an STI. What I really like about a proper sports car, in my opinion, is that raw feel. And these days, you're always going to have a car that's on the spectrum of raw race car feel and kind of that luxury, slightly cushiness. And many cars will maybe lean heavy into the cushy luxury feel. Others will lean a little bit more into the sport, kind of sporty race car feel. The 2018 definitely leaned more into that race car feel. When I was forced to upgrade it after my 2013 was totaled, thanks to a red light runner who T-boned me. Kudos for Subaru to making a very safe car. It kept me safe, it kept me alive. The 2018 out of the box was so much superior. The handling, the way it felt, the quick steering rack, it was great to drive. It just needed to have the EJ be unleashed a little bit. And that's what I did. With the 2013 STI, I only went stage 2, which is a downpipe. Also did equal length headers. But with the 2018 STI, I did stage 3, which includes fueling upgrades too, along with the flex fuel build too. So I was able to use ethanol to make even more power. It was a very fast, punchy car. 330 horsepower to the wheel, 410 torque to the wheels. I did not expect, especially when I got the IAG Stage 2 engine, I did not expect it to make that much horse or torque, and would have upgraded the clutch had I known. But it was a very fun, punchy car. You know, now comes the big question of why did I sell it if I was enjoying it so much, and I still love that car. I think having a heavily modified car is one of those love-hate relationships. You love it because it's right where you want it to be, how it handles, how it drives, how fast it is. But it also, over time, gets to be that hate relationship in that things wear out quicker. Obviously, I had to replace the fuel pump. Although the EJ lasted over 100,000 miles in its stock form before I had to rebuild it. So I think definitely kudos to Mach 5 Motorsports and their tuning of that car, because it was mostly tuned for its entire life. And that was when I got the STI in 2018. I wanted to get it back to where it was with the 2013 STI, so I was definitely in a hurry to modify it. But yeah, there's that love and hate relationship. You know, you get unwanted attention from the authorities with heavily modified vehicles, sadly, these days. So I decided it was time for a break. I wanted to get a car that I could leave stock, at least for a bit. And so there were 4 cars that really rose to the, I'd say, to my short list. All tuner cars, nothing against the muscle cars. I like Mustangs and Camaros for what they are, but for me, I wanted something more that Japanese tuner. So the short list was the Civic Type R, the GR Corolla, the Nissan Z, and of course, the Toyota Supra. So let's start with the Civic Type R. I loved the way it looked in its previous generation. I thought it was just loud and obnoxious from a visual perspective. The new Type Rs, although they drive great, you know, from what I've read, I haven't gotten to drive one yet, but they're definitely toned down from that visual perspective. So that, and also they come in at the stock STI power level. Getting a new car, I wanted it to be an upgrade. I didn't want another 300 horsepower car. I wanted something that made over 350. So the Type R was excluded. In my opinion, it was a little too much, you know, the 4-door, hot sedan hatch. I know it's a little bit in between. Was something I've already done and wanted something different. And same thing with the GR Corolla. I think the GR Corolla looks amazing. Very aggressive. The Circuit Edition, I wish they all came like that. The Core Edition is just missing that, you know, big wing on the back of the hatch. But it's still in that 300 horsepower area from a 3-cylinder. So the big question is, you know, how much more tunable would that be? Is it already maxed out? You know, time will tell. But again, wanting to keep something stock, it was not as much of an upgrade as I really wanted. Then we go to the Nissan Z, the 370Z, especially the Nismo. I've always loved those cars. I love the Recaro seats they put in them, especially in the recent years. But the new Nissan Z, as great as it is, it's still too much like maybe a 380Z, if you will. It's not as new gen as it is just kind of a evolution of the 370Z. And I know why Nissan did that. They're trying to save money, but for wanting a new car, I wanted something that was definitely kind of different. Plus, I'm not the biggest fan of the retro look of the Z, so that also kind of turned me off. So the Supra really fit the bill of something that was just gorgeous to look like, unique appearance, amazing like curves, and the front of the car just has this great face to it, very unique. It has definitely the horsepower, at least 382. Thankfully BMW underrates their engines, so it's probably closer to 400. So it was definitely the upgrade I was looking for, with I think the kind of new quality that I also wanted, especially now that they have the manual transmission. It was pretty much checked a lot of boxes. And honestly, this Supra, all the reviews have been raving about it. All of people just love it. And me myself driving it, it's definitely a very special car. So that's why I chose the Supra as the successor to my WRX STI. I still miss that car. It definitely, the 2018s reminded me a lot like a modern take of the Hawkeye in their appearance. After 10 years of driving two WRX STIs, it was time for something different. It was time to sort of get the 6-cylinder wheel-wheel drive car that I've, in a way, sort of always wanted to have.